Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, April 18th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? First two cards we got three cards coming out. First two cards in our 5-card spread. First card, we've got all these extra cards this week, man. It's complicated. Yep, it's complicated. We got here our Queen of Swords in its reversal in combination with our 8 of Cups in its upright, in combination with our 9 of Cups in its upright. It takes all the strength to walk away. I keep on hearing it takes all the strength to walk away because, I keep on seeing that there's something, and this is important. I feel like there's a lot of work that's happening right now, and especially for energy and separation, as it relates to discernment. And what do we talk about when we talk about discernment? I'm not surprised to see this. All of this energy right now hanging out on the meridian between Pisces and Aries, right? And I need to stress this. This is why we're having some of this energy right now. There is a misconception that Aries energy is impatient. It's actually not true. Aries energy is incredibly patient so long as they see one thing and one thing only: progress. Aries is always in that modality where Aries does not have time for things until they see something that feels like it's progressive, right? Aries can tell the difference. Aries can tell the difference between someone energetically wasting their time versus someone trying. And that's what I keep on hearing. And I keep on hearing that it has something to do with that space of I keep on hearing identifying, working in the context. And there's some energy right now. There's something about a trine that's happening, because especially for the energy and separation, the reason I'm hearing that it's a trine is because sometimes we can't put our finger on what's missing in a relationship until we find it. It's hard to articulate on what's not there. And so I keep on seeing that there's something important about this, because the ability, right? The ability to recognize and identify the difference between someone like being energetically clumsy because they're trying, like clumsy with courtesy, right, is endearing. When someone's being clumsy with courtesy, right, it's somebody going out of their way and stumbling as they do so. This is the energy that's suddenly getting clarity as it relates to energy that may have been more ambivalent in the past, right? On often like when energy's like I keep on hearing the difference between I keep on hearing the difference between a heartfelt sorry versus an ambivalent sorry. And why are we experiencing this right now? Because we've all had those moments, right? When you articulate to someone a frustration and someone goes, "I am mortified. I did not realize. Thank you for showing that to me. I can do energetically better," right? Like that committed effort that you see, versus those modalities or moments where you say you articulate, you go to great length telling someone what's wrong, and all they do is, "Yeah, sorry about that." Like the inconsequence, if you will, the lack of recognition, the ambivalence, right? And so there's something really important that's happening right now with all of this energy moving into Aries, which is teaching us and working us through the value of the heart. I keep on hearing the heart, Mars moving into Leo, the heartfelt apology, which says, I did not realize. Thank you for showing that to me. I can do better. That was not okay, right? Versus the energy that says, sorry I'm like this. Sorry I got to put up with this. Sorry this is the way it is. You know what I mean? Like, this is like the energy. I keep on hearing the careless, the apology. They're saying the difference. Like we should not have the same word for apology, because they're saying that like the sorry. I keep on hearing sorry is not an apology. And why is that? Because an apology has legs, is what I keep on hearing. Apology is something that we correct for. It's something that we work towards. It's something that we identify. And you can trip as you're apologizing, right? You can do something. You often trip over yourself when you're trying to apologize, because you become energetically awkward. You see something there that you couldn't see, right? And that's why I keep on hearing there versus energy that's like, that just smoothly says sorry because they want to like get out of doing something, you know, like just that, like, you know, like that dismissive energy. I feel like this is a lot of the energy that is working in the space of identifying what feels real. I keep on hearing these are real relationships that are forming right now because it's the conversation of frustration that immediately leads to activation that gives clarity to the energetic relationships that were based more on whim, that when you articulate frustration, they go away because someone's really articulating and saying, I'm not really looking to change or do anything to like work to maintain something, right? It's like working through like the path. It's like the path of least resistance. And so there's a lot of that work that we're seeing to a certain extent, because I keep on hearing healthy relationship is not the path of least resistance, right? Healthy relationship, that the path of least resistance often feels incredibly disappointing because it's almost like, it's like the energy that says, I love this because there's no standards to it. I don't have to do anything. It's great. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's not a relationship. A relationship is, and we talked about this yesterday, it's not that inspiration can exist in the space of relationship, but also the energy knows how to row, right? Because we don't wait. We don't wait for inspiration to hit to build healthy relationship. It's the consistent force that we put on something. Healthy relationship is the consistent application to something, right? And it doesn't require us to be perfect, but there's a lot of that, like there's a lot of that work that we see to a certain extent that is almost showing and articulating upon the strength it takes to row. And I'm not surprised to hear this right now, because we got Pisces moving into Aries. And this is why I feel like there's this energy right now that's saying this is the clumsy start of something truly beautiful. Because when someone's being clumsy, but they're improving, this is the energy that's saying, I see and identify the strength it takes to row, which is someone who's trying, right? Someone who's trying to improve upon something. So I keep on seeing that there's so much of that that's happening here that is fortifying a lot of these new relationships that are coming together. It's interesting because the energy right now is moving out of Chariot energy. I'm still trying to define what it's moving into right now. It was, so just to give you, and so one of the things we do here, if you're just joining us, is we often talk about different relationship cycles that are forming. So when we were going through the Mars retrograde, we recognized that that was a warrior energetic cycle. The energy coming together during that period were warriors. It was a lot of, I kind of like the card I would associate with it was very much, it was giving me a lot of Ace of Swords is kind of the best way to describe it. This has been Chariot energy. Continuing to get clarification on energy coming into divine union. And so, you know, what we were identifying is for a lot of the energy right now that's coming into union has been in Chariot energy. And so I'm not surprised to see, because one of the things we talked about with the Chariot relationships is identifying that the Chariot card is often misambiguated as a card of movement. It's not about movement. It's about how much strength it takes to get movement off the ground. It's about the force it takes to move something into a place of momentum. Feels like it's impossible. But this is why I keep on seeing that there's a lot of energy right now coming into like healing, coming out of separation into union, healing from another person's lack of effort. And sometimes there's those moments that can feel very triggering, because it's only in the moment that we experience effort do we realize what was lacking. So there's a lot of frustration here. But it's even in the airing of the energetic grievements that something is healed, because it's almost like I keep on seeing there is an authenticity to this relationship, to these relationships. I was picking up on this yesterday. There's even there's a lot of energy that's like almost actively bickering, and energy's going, how long have you guys been together? And they're like, we just met. And being like, seems like you guys have been together a long time, because it's a relief in being able to bicker in such a way that's allowing for that point of authenticity to come through. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, this is beautiful, because this is the energy coming into divine union, going into hermit mode. They consider the hermit mode the gift of the relationship, because if you remember from yesterday, these are the warrior partnerships that started during the Mars retrograde. And this is not the energy that's saying you're the wind beneath my wings. They're saying that the irony of that is the fact that they're the ground beneath their feet. Because when we have solid ground beneath us, we have the capacity to fly. You can't start to fly off of lack of solid ground. You need solid ground to be able to build the momentum to fly. So this is why the energy says, it's not that you complete me. They're saying to one another, you are the ground beneath my feet, from which all things are possible. Because when we build into a relationship where we're not constantly worrying about the relationship, there's no greater gift that we receive. While for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, 2 cards, please. We've got here our Page of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Hierophant in its reversal. There's like, I keep on hearing there's something going on for energy right now deep within divine union in relationality to the only way out is through. And why is the energy saying the only way out is through? Because often, and remember, we were talking a lot about working through aversion, right? When we feel aversion to things, it's not just enough to have an aversion to something. We recognize how healed we are by exploring why we feel averse against something. Because often, right, the ability to identify where an aversion is coming from helps us recognize where the force of work needs to be applied. When we feel an aversion to something and we can't figure out why, we just don't like something, that's usually an us problem, right? Because it's indicative of a blind spot. That's the ego saying, we don't like it. Why? We don't like it, and we don't talk about it. But when we're in a space, but when we're working on something that is truly something that has meaning, the aversion to something that is an energetic standard, right? Our aversions become standards, because the higher self is like, let me walk you through why this is not okay. So I keep on seeing that there's a lot of this energy right now working through their own energetic aversions, and often potentially even utilizing the help with counterpart to understand the difference between whether the force of application of healing needs to be done within or it needs to be done without. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Swords in its reversal in combination with our 8 of Cups in its upright with the 9 of Cups in its upright. 1 card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now, 2nd time. Wow. This card, let me tell you, this Hermit card does not like to come out of the deck a lot. It really doesn't. It's not a big fan of coming out of my decks. So when it comes out, when the Hermit comes out a lot, we need to talk about it, because it's not again, just based on me being a reader, like my relationship with my cards. This Hermit card is like, it likes to be a bit of a hermit. It's hard to get out of the deck. But that's why I'm seeing to a certain extent that there's something really important about it, because they're saying even now that there's something about the importance of, and again, this is what I talked about the difference between, this is the work we're doing in relationality to navigating aversions. Because the only way out is through. The only way to recognize if an aversion is something, and this is what we talk about with like shadow work. Like again, shadow work. I know shadow work is like a really like luminous, like a very like spooky way of talking about recognizing and working through aversions. You know, like that's ultimately what it is to a certain extent. So when we're in that space and we address our aversions, right? We work towards the space of recognizing the things that bother us, right? Instead of just experiencing them without reason, we come into understanding the self better. And this is why, when we talk about spiritual healing, it's the act of understanding the self, coming into awareness of the self. And that's why, again, for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, being able to, I keep on hearing, talk through an energetic aversion, talking through something that the self does not like. gives us every clarification as to whether that's something that we need to work on the self, or something that we need to, that we're experiencing and we need to build an energetic standard upon. And it's all based upon conversation, right? Because the ability to talk about something, to be able to talk through something, when we feel an aversion and it's coming from the higher self, it's like, why do I feel this way about it? The higher self is like, how much time you got? Sit down. Let's have a cup of tea. Let's hash it out. I'll tell you every reason why this doesn't sit right with you. Right? Ego can't hash anything out. Ego, you say, why do I have a problem with it? Don't like it. Don't like it. Well, why? Why don't we like it? Don't like it. Not good. Don't like, it's like, it's a lot of that, like, it's because, and that's how we can tell it's our defense mechanism. The ego is the energetic defense system of the self. So when we hit those moments in ourself where we're like, well, I don't like it, don't like it, it's usually because there's something about within the self that we need to work on. Like we just found a blind spot, and those moments, and I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy, being able to work through that, it's hard because, and this is why it's so important to understand that you cannot force healing on another person, right? Because healing has to be energetically conditional in terms of another wanting to receive it. Because if not, your intention is not enough to make another person receive it in a place of positivity. Healing is healing in so much as it does not insist. It is something that we receive. Like love is something that we receive because we ask for it. And even that's why, again, when we try to force our love on another, like this is often where trauma occurs, right? Because when we are working in the space of doing something that feels good, that's not love, right? And it can feel good to love, but love feels good and is good. It is the sacred breath of giving and receiving that allows for the context of energetic elevation. And that's why I keep on seeing that there's a lot of energy right now working through hurdles, working through difficulties, potentially even retrospecting on like difficult spots, potentially in the past, because Neptune's been moving into Aries, right? And observing and saying to the self, is there something I can do there? Is there something I can try to do to move something into a place of positivity? And this is, I see a lot of the counterparts working in that way, working in that context to articulate and recognize what needs to be remedied within versus something that is being experienced without. Continuing to get clarification between our 8 of Cups in its upright in combination with our 8 of Cups in its upright. So we've got the 8 and 9. And this is important because this is a progressive step. We've got the 8 and 9 of Cups in correlation to one another. In combination with our King of Wands in its upright, center of the deck. One card to clarify. 3 of Cups and Pentacles in its reversal. There's something really beautiful right now that's happening, particularly for the energy coming into divine union in relationality to laying new ground. This is new ground energy. And that's why, and this is why for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, I keep on seeing a lot of this energy came into union a few months ago and they're going, this is the beginning. Why is it the beginning? Because that feeling, I hear this energy saying, I've never felt this stable before. I've never had solid ground beneath me. And the minute you have that solid ground, sometimes you start unlocking a lot of trauma. Because in the moment that you start to feel the stabilization point, some things you can only heal within the self if you reach the point of stability, right? Because when you're constantly working on shifting ground, when you're having to spend all of your energy like navigating a relationship where you can't ever tell where you are with another person, it requires so much of that force of effort, right? It feels like you're constantly in that space of trying to orient. But when you're in a stable place, it finally allows you an ability to go inward because you feel the safety and security of being able to go within the self, because the body feels energetically safe in the environment that they're in, that allows for an ability to go inwards. This is what we talk about with temples, right? It's giving me like temple energy, because a temple is a place where it's safe to introspect, right? And so I keep on seeing that there's a lot of energy right now, and this is why the energy is saying to one another, thank you. And they're saying, what are you giving me? I'm not doing anything. They're saying, yes, you've made this relationship a temple. Because when we concentrate, when we come in here, when we create that, when we consecrate our relationships with the stabilization point of not having to worry or perseverate over it constantly, it allows us to enter the inner sanctum of ourselves. It allows us to get our energy back to go inwards. So this is a lot of that energy that says, that is the gift of, like, again, I keep on hearing, that is the gift of nothingness, because that is, and it's not nothing, it's everything. But the reason that it feels like nothing is because it doesn't, like, when it is not requiring you to put work into it. Okay, like it is bliss. It is not nihilistic. It is the sublimity of creating stability that it's hard to articulate and hard to describe. And this is why some of the energy right now coming into union is feeling so frustrated. Because if this is the energy that is they're actively seeing someone going to the effort of trying to create something stable, then all of a sudden it looks back on the energy and going, what the heck was that? Like, that's the energy going, what was all of that nonsense? Because that's the energy that says sometimes it's hard to pinpoint something, that consistency. The difficulty with consistency, and this is how Saturn's helping us right now, because Saturn's moving up to this meridian point too. It's hard to talk about something that's not there, right? If something, and here's the thing, the energy that doesn't want to be consistent, when you try to talk about it, will say you're making problems where problems don't exist, right? Because, and then we talk about this here, something that is really good but really inconsistent is actually worse than something that is bad. Why is something really good but very inconsistent worse than something that is just straight up bad? Because at least if something is straight up bad, there is a consistency to the awfulness. You know how difficult something is going to be. You know what you're going to energetically face day to day, right? There's a comfort in something being awful because you know it's awful. You can prepare for the awfulness. But when something is just good but inconsistent, it is worse than something that is awful, because it feels like it's like you're constantly waiting for a bounty. It's like you're constantly waiting. It's like it feels like you're energetically gambling, right? And you're just putting more and more in your time in because you're hoping for that moment, that interminable moment where you're going to get some kind of energetic payout, right? And it's that suspension of belief that we often enter in these relationships, saying, well, maybe if I keep doing this, it's going to be consistent. That is often the impossibility point. Because if something has not given evidence, and this is how Saturn's helping, and Saturn says, if something has not given you any indication of care or concern for consistency, waiting for something inconsistent to be consistent, you are the consistent force. You are the force of consistency. You are the energy creating the force of consistency. So you are consistently saying to the energetic force that is inconsistent, you can continue to be inconsistent because this is fine. So it's understanding the fact that it creates an unhealthy relationship that's built upon the disambiguation of force, where one person is being inconsistent and thinks it's fine because the other person keeps coming back to it, and the other energy is going, maybe if I wait a little longer, this will change. It's an impossible situation. Remaining does not create consistency. It amplifies and reinforces the inconsistency. So that's why I keep on seeing there's a lot of this energy right now going, like as they're recognizing it, because the lesson that's coming through is you can't change inconsistency by being consistent. You will never create a vector. We've already talked about this. You will never create a vector where your consistency will bring consistency out in another if they do not desire to do so. In fact, your consistency will reinforce and encourage their inconsistency. Continuing to get clarification on this, and this is why there's something about these new relationships that feels like, again, I can see the frustration being released because this is the energy feeling the force of energetic commitment And what is the force of energetic commitment? It feels clumsy. It feels apologetic. It's like, ooh, it's like all apologies, because it's the energy that stumbles over themselves to fix something that suddenly gives us all the clarity, and someone who is potentially coming towards us more on a whim or more based upon their own ambivalence and being like, sorry, but not really being sorry, because saying sorry means like, sorry, you have to put up with this. Continuing to get clarification between our King of Wands and its reversal in combination with our Page of Cups and its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Swords in its reversal. And I love to see the Seven of Swords in its reversal, because what we're really seeing here, you know, the ability, I keep on seeing the ability to articulate upon manifestation goals is usually a sign of how far we've healed, because our own ability, like, and I got to say this, and we talked a lot about this, the manifestation that is good is the manifestation that you can say through your throat chakra. If you have a manifestation that you're afraid to speak, like, that's the first hurdle. That's the first hurdle. Right? And we got to talk about this here, because I keep on seeing that there's a lot of this energy that's now building into an energetic connection. And the pain, like the pain I see that energy is navigating towards this point, is looking back on something where something was lacking and trying to ascertain and determine if that was based upon another person not recognizing those quality and characteristics in the self, or whether that was energetically intentional. And to this, we often have the same answer that comes to us from the universe, which it says, regardless, and this is the reason, because energy, the universe builds not upon intentionality, it builds upon feeling. Like the universe always says when we read into this, does it matter if it's intentional or not? And the universe says, if the outcome is the same, does it? Like, you know, like, does it? Like, it's not, it's like, it's working through. And this is why we work on our own blind spots, right? We work on our own blind spots, because if we're not working to recognize our blind spots, it's almost intentional. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it's working in that space of understanding that we always arrive when we need to. But being able, and this is like one of the highest qualities and characteristics that we can identify in partners, we feel safe in the embrace of a counterpart that is aware of the self. Because when an energy is not aware of the self, never are they more unsafe, because that's the energy that could be moving towards you with all authenticity. But if they haven't done the work on the self to recognize the blind spots, you know, someone can be completely authentic, but also be completely unreliable. Someone can be completely authentic, but then also not have a bunch of triggers that they haven't worked through, right? It's not about, like, and I see some energy trying to heal with someone from the past here. And this is why I feel some energy pushing back on something. Because if someone comes towards you and says, my feelings for you were real, then this is the energy that says the realness of the feelings was never the problem. When we have real feelings, but we're not reliable, the real feelings become a real problem. The feeling is that it's not about the realness of the feelings. It's about the work that we do on the self. Continuing to get clarification between our Page of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Hierophant in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with that Eight of Pentacles in its reversal. I just keep on seeing there's a lot of unpacking here. There's a lot of unpacking, but I keep on hearing it's productive and it's productive unpacking. It's productive unpacking. And I see even now, and I keep on hearing too, it's not about the need or the desire to talk about everything here. Because I keep on seeing that there are some energetic connections that are forming around something, and someone saying, I am not ready to talk about it. And this is important because I keep on seeing the difference, the massive difference. I keep on hearing the massive difference between I don't want to talk about it and I am not ready to talk about it is the observation on the fact that you're working on healing it. When we say, I don't want to talk about it, it can be indicative of someone saying, I want to ignore it. I don't want to fix anything. It's going to perpetuate. If I don't look at it, maybe it'll go away. It never goes away, right? The things we say we don't want to talk about become all we end up having to deal with, because it requires the ability to address the blind spots within the self, right? But when someone says, I'm not ready to talk about it, it says, I'm committing to you that there will be a time that we can discuss this, but something is too tender. Something is too vulnerable. I'm building up the energetic confidence to talk about something. And that's why I keep on seeing that even here, it's like I keep on seeing that what's beautiful about some of these relationships that are forming is, and I got to tell you, we're moving out of chariot relationships. These are magician relationships. Why are these magician relationships? Because this is the energy that says there's no subject off the table. That's why the magician, that's why the magician was in the read the other day, right? Because that ability of looking at something and saying to another, there's nothing that we can't talk about. I kept on seeing, remember, I kept on seeing a lot of hashing that's happening right now, a lot of hashing it out. The healing is coming through right now in some of these conversations and some of these relationships because, and I told you, it's like you guys are talking like you've known each other for years because they're already hashing. And that's the energy that it's not feeling forced to talk about things, but even when they hit a sensitive area, the energy is saying, is it like, can we shelve the conversation for another time? Like, and saying to each other, it's not saying I won't talk about that. They're just saying I'm not in the right headspace. I need to be in the right space to confront something. And this is why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, this is a cherry. Okay, there's been a shift. Yeah, this is a new energetic cycle that's starting right now. And it's happening because Mars moved into Leo. And so this means that a lot of the energy, a lot of the chariot relationships are now moving deeper into divine union. And this is why we saw yesterday. This is why we heard yesterday. What is the energy saying? What are the chariot relationships saying to each other as they move into union? They're not saying you're the wind beneath my wings. They're saying you're the ground beneath my feet. Because when you're in a chariot relationship, the highest priority, the gift that you give each other is solid ground. Right? The smoother the ground, the more you can elevate, the more you can move quickly. So that's why I see that was the energy moving into hermit energy that allows for that blossoming. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, clarification between our hermit energy and our 3 of Pentacles and its reversal. Oh, I already know where this is going. It's not that simple. Yeah, it's not that simple. It's complicated. It's complicated. It's not that simple. This is all Libra energy right now. There is so much Libra energy here. This is a lot of the energy right now. Working in the space of navigating things that are not simple. I keep on hearing nuanced feelings, like working through emotional tenderness. And I can almost see counterpart being like, why don't you just do this? And I can hear the other counterpart being like, it's not that simple, right? Being able to almost present, I can almost see counterparts presenting determination points to another, and another person going, it's not that simple, right? Working, and this is how, even now that the energy deep within divine union, this is warrior energy now that's moving into divine union. Because there's a lot of conversations about healing intimacy via the nuance, trying to make peace. So the warrior energy is now deep within divine union, trying to make peace, which makes a lot of sense. And they're working through the complications of doing that and saying it's not that simple. Continuing to get clarification between our 3 of Pentacles and its reversal in combination with our 7 of Swords in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through. Oh, look at that. We've got our High Priestess. Center of the spread. And this is having a different impact right now on masculine and feminine energy across the frequencies. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. So for masculine energy, there's something like, and it's interesting too, because it has a lot of like, I keep on hearing masculine energy is working through this space of courtesy. Like there's a lot of courtesy. It's like working through courtesy. And again, it's a lot of that conversation that we're seeing in terms of understanding it's chivalry. They're chivalry lessons. Because lessons in courtesy are lessons in chivalry, right? Because understanding that chivalry is, and how to explain this. Chivalry is it's identifying and recognizing, working in the context of, how do I describe this best? Chivalry lessons often come in the space of honor. And when we work in the space of honor, it's working on the identification point of being energetically protective of another. But and again, it's there's a lot of that. It's like being in the space of being chivalrous is not is it's like a lot of that, like I keep on saying, like a lot of that after you kind of energy, right? It's working into the space of building into the context of identifying and building into healthy relationship via not accident, like, and this is what's interesting about it. This is masculine energy not healing their throat chakra. They're healing their solar plexus, right? Because I almost see the masculine energy moving into a space of quietude, right? Moving into a space of like active listening. And there's something about that here, and it's interesting. I need to figure out why. There's some kind of connection that's based upon the solar plexus being connected to the ear, which I need to work out for myself after this reading. But there's something about that space of being able to take a seat that allows for the patience of energetically listening, which is why they're saying that it's working through the solar plexus to a certain extent, because it is the energy that is working on listening, and in the space of listening, effectively energetically learning, particularly around the realms of courtesy. For feminine energy, completely opposite. This is feminine energy. This is feminine energy. This is feminine energy, like clearing the throat chakra. Like this is feminine energy clearing their throat, articulating upon comfortability, right? And so it's interesting because I see and it has to do with aversion. So masculine's almost doing shadow work right now by introspecting upon aversion, like thinking. Feminine is working through aversion by articulating and reaching towards the higher self, by articulating and talking something out. So that's very interesting. Now, continuing to get clarification, and that's happening across all the frequencies. Continuing to get clarification here between our Seven of Swords in combination with our Eight of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify. We've got here our Star card. Holy smokes. Okay. Wow. We've got the High Priestess and the Star out right now. That's beautiful. Okay. We can talk about that. I feel like there's a lot of work that's being done right now, particularly in the space of, I keep on seeing, particularly in the space of active listening, or actively, like active healing versus an active listening. And this is what I mean. And this is why, okay, I'm going to work you through what I'm seeing across all the frequencies. You'll remember a few days ago, we had that like matrices occurred. There was like that fragmentation of lessons, a bunch of asynchronous lessons that are occurring at this time. And they're having a different impact on the frequencies. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within divine union, a lot of, like, I keep on seeing working and operating, like working upon nuance is such in relationality to, I keep on hearing, like trying to restore something or trying to heal something, but not putting too much pressure on something, right? Because, and we've talked a lot about this, like when you want to fix something, you can't force, I keep on hearing, you can't force a fix. If you try to force a fix, you break something, right? And this is what we talk about with the ability of, and we talked a little bit about this, like the gesture, the reason that we give olive branches, like an olive branch isn't just giving someone a stick. An olive branch is living, right? It's got potentiality to it. That's what we see with the Ace of Wands. So that ability of giving someone something that gives something, it's like the gesture of the desire that you hope something goes towards. I'm not surprised to see this too, because especially with like Neptune moving into Aries, like there's a lot of that. I keep on seeing the sentimental gesture that gives the indication of the desire that you hope something to go is often the best way to heal, because you offer the opportunity, but you don't force something. It's a lot of that working through the space of courtesy. So I keep on seeing that there's a lot of that energy kind of working through that space of nuance, right? It's like, I keep on hearing it's thread work. That's what I keep on hearing. Because it's like trying to get a needle. It's like the needle through, like it's like that. While for masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, and remember, this is important. Remember that this is a lot of energy that's finally having a moment. I keep on hearing, they're finally having a moment's peace to be with themselves. And that's why I meant, like, that's why the energy, that this is like the chariot energy, feeling like they're moving into a temple. Because when we say to one another, you're not doing anything, and the energy is going, yes, exactly. It's because you create the energetic temple as it relates to the stability of partnership. And so this is the energy that feels like the gift. And this is why Saturn is moving up between Mercury and Aries, Mercury and Venus. Because when we're in healthy partnership, it gives us back our time. When we're in healthy partnership, when we don't have to perseverate and worry about the partnership itself, it's like we find all of this time that is returned to us. It's like the most beautiful gift. And so that's why I keep on seeing that this energy is almost like moving into a space of sanctity. And that's why they're moving into Hermit energy. And it's important to note that we've got the Hermit in its reversal and the High Priestess. These cards are very closely associated. But remember, it's four of that space of masculine, like working on the place of listening, almost listening to the self, listening to the inner child, feminine listening to the higher self, right? Working in the space of being articulating how they feel. And that brings us to a lot of the energy right now that is in separation. And this is beautiful because I keep on seeing that there's a lot of conversation that is occurring right now for energy and separation. And this is feeling like a profound moment, particularly for feminine and also for masculine, as it relates to building into the context of healthy relationship. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of the feminine energy right now, a simple but painful truth is coming to the forefront. You can't force a flower. If someone does not want to build intentionally towards you, sticking around is not going to make them do so, right? If someone does not want to create consistency, it has to be intentionally given, right? It has to be seen. It's not encouraged. Like is what I keep on seeing. The message and that's why, again, thank you. It's Mars moving into Leo, which is you can't encourage consistency. Being consistent to energy that's inconsistent just encourages inconsistency. Consistency is not taught, it's found, is what I keep hearing. And so for a lot of the energy of the feminine, recognizing that is moving more into the space. And the reason I'm seeing that feminine is recognizing that is because there's so much of this energy here that's occurring in relationality to these new partnerships that is showing energy, that's showing feminine in real time, like how like what it looks like to build into partnership with someone who's actively trying, right? You can't force trying. It's either there or it's not. And so this is a lot of the feminine that's like doing a lot of healing on the self in the moment that they recognize that, because this is the feminine energy beginning to heal from the burden of saying, why wouldn't they give that, instead of asking, was it ever something that they were willing to offer? For masculine, I see a lot of the masculine working in the same context, healing from energetic relationships of feminine. And again, a lot of the masculine energy working on understanding the difference between the visage, working the difference between what looks like often when we get too focused on what looks like our counterpart instead of what feels like our counterpart, we move in energy counter oppositional to our manifestation goals, right? Because things can look like manifestations, but they don't feel like manifestations. And this is a lot of the masculine working in that space of, again, not getting too focused on what they expect the manifestation to look like, but instead feeling into it, understanding and recognizing it. Because that ability of being able, again, I keep on hearing, the healthy relationship and the healthy counterpart is always the counterpart that feels like home, right? It's that modality of understanding what it feels like. And I keep on seeing that that's a lot of the masculine healing to a certain degree, because it's working out. And this is why we have to heal our abandonment issues, because if we don't have a healthy relationship to our home and the counterpart, the divine counterpart, feels like home, then we will feel volatility when we find the perfect counterpart, because we're still working out all of the trauma that we didn't work out at the time that we experienced it in the space of our home. So this is something this is a very heavy message that's coming through right now for masculine energy. You heal your home so that you can find your energetic counterpart, so you don't put the trauma of home on them when you encounter the counterpart that feels like home. Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Cups in its upright in combination with our High Priestess energy. This is what we talk about this is all about a reading on projections. About to get really heavy. All right. So let's walk through this one more time. This is why we work to heal. This is why we work not to carry trauma with us, because again, it has a lot to do. I keep on hearing a lot of energy related to home. If we come from experiences where, again, we haven't healed our relationship with home, then when we see, and this is coming through specifically for masculine energy, and this is the thing that's so wild about it, because they're saying to me that this is specifically like related to masculine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to, right? When we have an unhealthy relationship to the energetic nest, it's like the home. Then when we feel the energy that's meant for us, or we feel that energetic counterpart, like all of the childhood wounds come out. Go away. You get away from me. You can't tell me what to do. Like you start projecting the relationality of the experience of home on the counterpart that feels like home without even meaning to, right? And so this is how we carry trauma forward. And this is why we work. This is all lessons in Chiron. This is why we work to heal our relationship with the past, or we work to heal our relationship with home, so that when we feel that volatility, right? And the ego wants to start doing the things that it used to do to protect you. Like the defense mechanism starts going, activate, right? The higher self goes, stop activating. Not the same experience. Right energy, wrong experience, right? And it's an intimacy wound. So in that moment that we stop going into the cycle of allowing for all of those triggers to rise back up, that's that moment that we work to heal. And this is why masculine works on chariot energy, because when masculine is in a space where you feel the defense mechanisms come up, but then you allow the higher self to say, deactivate the defense mechanism. This isn't that person. This is not the same situation. They look a lot like them. They feel a lot like them. They're bringing out all of those feelings, right? This is the space I need to heal in, right? In that moment when the masculine is able to feel the wounds of intimacy rise up and then prevent them then they can do something, then they can begin to heal, right? Then they can begin to heal. But that's the moment. And this is why the message for feminine is, if you see the masculine acting in that way, if they're not ready to heal that, you can't force them. Because if you're in a space where someone has an unresolved relationship from home and you chase after them and say, get back here, you're perpetuating the abandonment wound. You're perpetuating the same exact circumstance that energetically created the wound in the first place, right? It's like you're moving into the energetic projection space, right? You're allowing it to continue. So that's why we see that for a lot of the energy right now, and I keep on seeing that this is coming through for a lot of the energy building into relationship right now. You know, I can see masculine saying to feminine, I'm working through my wounds right now. I might get triggered. Like, and this is the energy, I can see the energy going, there might be moments it gets the best of me. And feminine says, they're not, because you're already talking about them. You're already recognizing them. The minute you can talk about it, it no longer has control over you. The minute you can observe them, it's a minute it moves into the space of choice. So that's the energy saying, and even now, like, this is why working through those frustrations is the energy saying your ability to talk about something is literally evidence of the fact that you've already worked through a lot of those chariot lessons, right? Because in the moment that we don't just react to how we feel and instead talk about how we feel, right? Masculine building into the seat of the solar plexus, masculine looking at the feelings and saying, I am not my feelings. I don't need to disassociate from them. I am strong enough to feel them, and I'm strong enough to protect the energy outside of the self from them. The difference of saying, I'm sorry, you just reminded me of something that was difficult, versus that projection point. Right now, I keep on seeing there's some real this is why it feels like it's magician energy in some of these relationships, because I keep on seeing something magical is happening right now, right? While for a lot of this, like for energy right now, moving into divine union. For a lot of this energy moving into divine union right now, everything I'm recognizing and identifying has to do in the space of, and this is why there's so many asynchronous lessons, and it's working through aversions. For a lot of the energy moving into divine union, working through a lot of that, this is the warrior energy that's finding the energetic temple in the relationship. Because when we build into the stability point, when we find the relationship where we don't have to concentrate all of our force of effort in maintaining it, it becomes our sanctum. It becomes our temple. It allows us to go inward. So I see that this is a lot of the energy right now moving into that space of healing. And it's interesting too, because for masculine and feminine, for masculine, this feels like a space of, it's very interesting too, because this is a lot of the masculine finally feeling safe to heal inner child wounds, right? Finally being able to address some trauma that they haven't before. For feminine, it's allowing them to flourish and become more of who they are. So I keep on seeing it's like this beautiful process of transformation. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, one card to clarify between our high priestess and the star card. Yeah, it's like, and this is what we keep on seeing as it relates to working through energetic, working through energetic aversion, like working through something here that feels, I keep on seeing, how do I describe this? I keep on hearing, you can't force healing. I keep on hearing energy say, like, you can't force healing in a space that someone does not desire something to go. I feel like there's a lot of that space. And I think that what's beautiful about it is I feel like there's something very energetically cathartic in some kind of situation or circumstance wherein there's like a lot of talking about the past, but talking about the past in an objective way that allows, and I keep on seeing, it's like, I keep on hearing, this is energy deep within divine union, trying to figure out where the bell is ringing from, right? Which is like when we feel like we're annoyed by something, we feel like we're bothered by something, We work through it to understand if it's something that the higher self is trying to speak towards us on, something that is energetically important versus something that's coming more from the space of our ego, which we can usually tell because the ego is like, doesn't have a way of talking about it. Like it's like the resistance that helps us see an energetic blind spot. So I feel like there's like, and this is how Saturn's helping, because there's something about that being able to see something over the context of time is giving a bit of a different, like giving a bit of a different insight point on. Continuing to get clarification between our four, final card for today's spread, between our Four of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Five of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify. We've got here, I love it, we've got here our Six of Wands in its upright. So, you know, the one thing I like about this is, and I think it has a lot to do, we're going to talk, I think a big change that we're experiencing right now, and I know, like, listen, I know that the energy right now feels like a little whack. We've got all of this energy. We've got all these planets just hanging out on the meridian between Pisces and Aries. That's a massive transition point. It's working through confusion. It's working through a lot of feelings. There's a lot of yo-yo effect that we're feeling right now between feeling triggered and then feeling emotional, feeling triggered, feeling emotional. What are we being called to do? Maintain energetic perspective, right? Because when we feel the things that we feel, and then we understand that those feelings come and go, we are able to maintain a point of perspective upon them. And so I keep on seeing, it feels like I keep on feeling like working towards a positive outcome is as simple as maintaining a positive outcome. Like it starts with maintain, like optimism. I keep on hearing optimism itself is its own reward, right? Because when we look towards each other optimistically, everything is possible. And we do it for each other. And this is why it feels like a Leo lesson, because, and we've talked a lot about this, there's often a misunderstanding point. Everyone assumes Leos are just cheerful. Leos are not naturally cheerful, guys. Leos consider that the gift that they give the world is themselves. Leos maintain a bright disposition because they think that it is no greater gift than they can give to those around them. It's a choice, right? It is what we hold ourselves to, right? And that's why it feels like that Leo in Mars is coming to the rescue to a certain extent, because they're saying, remembering positivity is always a choice. It's the gift that we give ourselves, and it's a gift that we give our future, right? That optimism and that tenacity. And that doesn't mean that we wish for things to be better. We actively work for them to be better, and we don't lose hope in the process. So I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now, this is happening across all of the frequencies. Now, for masculine and feminine, deep within divine union, it kind of sucks. I'm just say it kind of sucks. The reason it may feel frustrating right now is because it's potentially working through situations that are difficult. Because often when we want a positive outcome, we have to move through things that are hard and allow for that determination force to guide us. For energy that is, and that's always difficult. And that's why I see that energy saying to counterpart every step of the way, am I doing this right? And the counterpart saying yes, and the other energy is going, good. You'll tell me if I'm wrong. Because when we're in a healthy relationship, the greatest gift that we receive, and this is why we never want to be in egoic space, right? Because when we're too much in our ego, nobody wants to say no to us. But when we're in a healthy egoic space, we can build upon the security of knowing when we're with counterpart and we say, you would say something if I'm wrong. And the energy looks at us and says, yes. And we go, good, because I can trust you, right? So that is the energy that feels that sense of energetic support. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, this feels like a breath of fresh air. This feels like the energy that says, finally, I can find myself. Because when we're not constantly feeling like we have to put all of our time, all of our effort, all of our energy in maintaining and checking and double checking and, oh, are they actually okay? Or did they say they were okay, but they're not okay? Oh, I thought we were okay, but something else is happening. The authenticity, the stability that we create in one another. You'll tell me if something's wrong, right? Yes, absolutely. Thank you. It allows us to come into a space of being able to concentrate on what we're trying to make right. While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep, that is in separation, you can't make something be there that's not there. And when you stay and something's missing, you're not convincing someone to bring it with them. You're convincing them that they can get consistency without giving it to you. It stinks, but it's true. This is why we say it's not about whether something looks like your manifestation. Does it feel like this? Because all you do when you stay in a situation that's missing something and you wait and you ask and someone's giving every indication that they're not going to change, you're just reinforcing every day that they don't have to. So that's why I keep on seeing that this is a lot of energy having a breakthrough upon that, because this is the energy realizing it wasn't their fault that they were experiencing something from another point of lack, right? It's not something that you can change within the self. It's something that you observe. And that is the working towards, again, understanding that manifestation is not waiting for something to change. It's walking in the direction of what is actively changing. Bottom of the deck on this read, Knight of Wands in its reversal. I keep on seeing here, and I think that there's something kind of wild about this. Like, I see some energy right now. Like, at the same time, I see a lot of energy from the past returning. A lot of these old conversations. And again, if this is energy coming back to someone and their first word is wish, like the wish is the problem, right? Because wish indicates, like we've talked about this here, a wish indicates the desire that something be different. A manifestation is moving in accordance with making it different. It's easy to wish. It's easy to wish. Everybody can wish. Let's all wish. Wishing doesn't do anything. Manifestation are wishes with legs. Manifestation is having a desire and then moving towards that desire in accordance to it. And so I keep on seeing that there's some kind of, and this is Saturn, like building into some irony right now, because I see Saturn's moving up with all these planets. I can literally see energy right now of someone complaining that they're not, like another person is not showing up for them in the process of them not showing up and another person actively showing up for that person. Right? Like, it's a lot of, like, it's the energy saying, I wish I was different. And someone being like, the only thing preventing you from being different is you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't say, I wish I was different. You say, you can do something about that. You know, it's like, it's not, you know, and this is the thing when we say, like, we talk about this here, when someone tries to blame, this is why when you start to heal, you stop blaming and you stop blaming others and you stop blaming yourself. Because when you're blaming others, you're saying, I'm not going to do anything. Right? When you say it's all your fault, what you're really saying is, I am not doing anything. I'm not going to change. So you have to do change. I'm staying like this. When we blame ourselves too much, we say, I'm sorry, I'm like this. I'm the worst. I'm not going to change. Right? Blame is lazy. Blame is lazy. Blame is a very lazy place to be. So that's why we see that there's a lot of energy that is healing from they're healing away from blame. Because when you look at blame as inertness, as laziness, and another person, it's hard to be able to move in that space because you don't, like, it's easy to blame, right? Because it's sedentary, right? What actually fixes things is the doing. So that is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can do so on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember, I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a personal reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that I would like to deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site, so I encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our class this week on the Hangman. I had such a wonderful time teaching you about that class, that card. Now, our next class is going to be held on Wednesday, May 14th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies in the tarot with a focus on the Death card. Don't worry, it's not as spooky as it sounds. We're going to talk a bit about the history, the symbology of the card. I'm going to walk you through spread applications and how you can read that, and I'll also be presenting you a unique spread that you can take from that class. And all you need to do if you'd like to join us in that class program is head over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your monthly paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up, but if you wanted to catch up, this would be the perfect time to join because you've got a full month before our next class, 9 hours worth of material. That's about 2 classes a week leading up to our next class. Also, you'll have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything that we are studying or have learned. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is an archive of over 13 hours worth of material in an ever-expanding library. You'll also have access to and the option of receiving a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will meet with you personally and assess where you are on your journey of tarot to give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes most effectively towards your tarot goals. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining our classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there. I post each day's podcast there with a picture of today's spread. You'll also have access to my weekly newsletter, which lets you know about my in-person events, as well as my online live schedule. You'll also have access to my Mystic Meditation articles, which give you recaps on what we've been experiencing energetically in the podcast. And I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients seeking more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal, spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your journey at a discounted rate. I'm also very happy to offer dream interpretation readings. Those can be purchased per dream or as a series. Now, if you purchase the series, I would encourage you to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming to you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again.